G'day everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to weekly endeavors, sorry, for the 8th of December onward. So, this set here, as always, there'll be time codes in the description. I will try and cover, just the most important stuff, I suppose, but especially for trials. Trying to explain everything to do with trials would take me days. So I can't really do that. I'm just going to try and cover the most important stuff that you want to know before you get into trials. A lot of stuff, like a lot of video content out there for trials, but trying to condense everything in, I'll struggle, but I'll do my best. But yeah, improving items, this is going to be better than the other two options by far. The only thing is you have to get some improvement materials, and you'll need to spend a little bit of gold, probably like a couple of thousand. It's pretty easy getting that much gold these days, but like, I don't know, not everyone has that, I suppose. But that is by far the easiest option of the three, like by fucking miles. I'll cover tribute matches first, because this is, on paper, very easy to do, very simple. Because the tribute matches themselves, you don't have to win them, you just have to participate. However, every tribute match takes like 15 or 20 minutes. Not everyone, but most of them do. So doing 10 of those, that's a fucking lot of... That's like hours of doing stuff. Like hours of tribute games. And I feel like if I tried to do this weekly, I would fucking go insane. I'd be bashing my head against the wall. Literally, not figuratively, as I always say. So yeah, I really wouldn't try this one, but if you really love Tales of Tribute, or if you really want to try this, you have to come to this NPC here, next to the fountain in the southeast side of Gonfalon Bay. So here's another thing. You have to have the High Isle DLC to access this. So if you don't have it, you can't even do this one. It's fucking stupid. You also cannot play against the AI Tribute players. It must be against a player through the Tales of Tribute queue system here. So yeah, it wastes even more time, because if you could just verse the players, especially like the easy players, it'd be way quicker, but it's not. You have to wait for a player. Sometimes that's another thing. It's hours of just playing tribute. That's not even including how long you're going to be waiting for the queue to pop. This is honestly one of the longest weekly endeavors I've ever seen. It's utterly ridiculous comparing it to this one. Even this one, it'd probably take you less than an hour if you do Cloud Rest. Whereas this one here, easily like a whole day probably of just trying to do tribute matches, I'd say. I feel like you will lose your mind trying to do this one, but yeah. So this guy here, you talk to him, this unlocks Tales of Tribute, and yeah, you get like a starter deck that you can play. And what I'll do is I'll add some videos in the description. It just like goes through how Tales of Tribute works, just so you know like how the game works and like what the objectives are and stuff. So yeah, you can check that out if you want, but I do not recommend trying this one. So if you want to make your way here for the first time, this Wayshine's unlocked by default in High Isle in Gonfalon Bay. So just look for this one on the map, and from here you just head southeast. The door will be here to enter Gonfalon Bay, and then you just... The quickest way is just to come down this way, turn right, down here, and make your way over this bridge here, and the guy will be down here. Proving items one. This is, as I said, just way better than the other two options. The only real issue you're going to face with this one, because the items to improve are so easy to get, is the upgrade materials. If you don't have any levels in any crafts, if you don't have anything in the temper, tannin expertise, the resin expertise, any of that stuff, you will need 5 green materials or 7 blue materials each item. So because it's 6, that means 30 of the green ones, or 30... Is it 35? No, sorry, 42 of the blue ones. Now, they're about as cheap as each other to buy, about that, when it comes to clothing and blacksmithing. They're the only ones I would use, because woodworking, for some reason, pitch is considerably more expensive than the other two. Like, pitch is, yeah, 30 gold for pitch on NA. What the fuck is going on there? Whereas if you look at hemming, it's only like 8 gold a piece. Honing stone, 8 gold a piece. And same thing, dwarven oil is like 9, and then embroidery is like 9 as well. For some reason, turpin is about 10 or 9 gold, but it's just pitch that's like way more expensive for some fucking strange reason. And yeah, don't even bother with jewelry, it's just way more expensive. And yeah, iridium's like 30, and then zircon's just ridiculous. So yeah, don't bother with jewelry, I think. Just go clothing and blacksmithing. It's also very, like I said, very easy to get the items to upgrade in white quality. So there are 2 real ways, or I suppose 3, if you really want to try it, that you can get upgrade materials. There's only 2 that I would rely on though. Surefire way, if you have a bit of gold, is to buy some green quality upgrade materials from guild stores. There are lots of guild stores, there are lots of upgrade materials available. I would prioritize the green ones, honing stone and embroidery. Oh, sorry, not embroidery, honing stone and hemming, sorry. Now, what I will suggest, like always, if you want to buy anything from guild stores, use Tamriel Trade Center. This website is so fucking helpful. What you can do is, say you only want 30 hemming, you don't want to pay any more than you need. What you can do is you can type in hemming, you can go advanced search, and you can go amount, just go 1 to, I don't know, 50 maybe? Just to narrow the search down just a little more. And it will list every hemming guild store or listing, I suppose, under 50 items or less. So you can see here there's 25 for 200 gold. So getting 2 lots of that, or 40 there for 250 gold, that's another really good option. That amount of gold is very easy to get. So in the description, I'll have a video for just like a tutorial on getting a little bit of gold. That much gold, it takes probably 10 minutes. So that's fine. You could easily get something like this for all your upgrade materials. If you want to go full on and just buy a full stack like this, it will take a little while, but look, if I'll be honest with you, the amount of time you'll probably spend in that place, it will be substantial, but it will probably be still less time that it will take getting groups for trials or doing Tales of Tribute matches. Tales of Tribute, you could get thousands and thousands and thousands of gold in the time that it takes you just waiting around for tribute matches. So yeah, I still think even at that case, if you if you need a lot of gold, I think it would still honestly be better. Yeah, just buy some of this stuff, and yeah, just keep an eye on where the locations are. Just be aware, if you do find a really good deal for a bunch of hemming, it could be in a zone that you don't own the DLC for. For example, it could be in Markarth and you don't own the DLC, in the region. But most of the time, you're probably going to be fine. The other option, the one that I suggest you invest in, just get some time, get some XP in your crafting skills up, because you get hirelings. What these do is when you put skill points to them, over time through your mail, you'll get these raw material hireling mails. You get materials, you get upgrade materials. This is the important part. So we got some turpin, some mastic here, nothing here. You don't always get them, but this will just keep happening automatically each day when you log in at certain times. And the more points you put into this, I believe, sorry, let me just, yeah, it just says every day. As far as I'm aware, it's just once a day. So yeah, you'll get, you'll never have any need for any upgrade materials as long as you keep getting these hirelings. You should be fine most of the time. Because yeah, over time you'll just get a couple of hemming here and there, a couple of honing stone here and there, and that's all you're honestly going to need for this. So yeah. So there's the miner hireling for blacksmithing and the outfitter hireling for clothing. Those are the only 2 I think you really need to worry about. But also the lumberjack hireling is good too, because if you get pitch as well, that can be useful too, because the woodworking, blacksmithing, and clothing items to get are really easy to acquire, whereas the jewelry stuff is quite a pain to get in large quantities. Now, the third way to get yourself some upgrade materials is to deconstruct some stuff. It's not the option I would suggest though, because that time spent going out and getting some items, that would probably be better spent just farming that gold thing, that the tutorial for like getting a bunch of gold, I'd probably just spend the time doing that so you can buy some in guild stores. But yeah, I digress. You can just go into like a public dungeon, for example, like maybe Sanguine's Domain or something, and just killing some of the enemies, and you could get some green quality drops or blue quality drops. Like chests and stuff like that, they will usually have a couple of green items in them that you can get. So that's another way. But the only two ways, honestly, I would bother with is just, yeah, the hirelings or the guild stores. Alright, so now let's look at acquiring some items to upgrade. So if you want blacksmithing items, or if you want woodworking items, if you've got the lumberjack hireling, White Gold Tower is your friend. You can go to Imperial City and do the same thing by looting all the metallic and wood weapons on weapon racks and stuff. Same thing goes for clothing in Imperial City, but if you're not level 10 yet on a character and you just want to do this, this is another option. So you've got a bunch of metallic weapons here. I'm just going to grab these. And then on the floor, you'll also see some. So there's a greatsword there. And over here, there's some of the greatswords. So that's... Hey? Oh, there we go. So yeah, that's 6 white quality items to upgrade for free. And in here, nothing's stolen. Same thing with Imperial City. That's why I suggest that one too. Because you won't get a bounty if people see you take that stuff, as opposed to some locations, which is not the case. You'll probably get a bounty if you try. So yeah, that's what you need. Now, every now and then, you might get a green quality item that you pick up. In that case, just go and just pick up a couple more items just to make sure. But yeah, there are tons of items here. You can see more here. If you want clothing items, you can come in here into the trophy vault. On these tables, you'll find some medium and light armor. Not too much. You have to search around a bit to find some. But yeah, you got breeches there. We've got some boots, some shoes, some jack there, braces. So yeah, you can see a bunch of light and medium armor there that you can use for that. But if you want another option for clothing, I'm about to show you that one. Yeah, so you can see a lot of woodworking items in here too. So woodworking and blacksmithing, this is honestly all you need. Everything you need is in here. The only thing is there's no crafting station in here. But that's fine. There's a lot of crafting stations that we can go to. And I'm sure you've got your own that you can go to. Okay, another option for clothing that works really well is Stormhold found in Shadowfen, the zone. So if you haven't been to this city before, I advise you get this way shown here, because Sanguine's Domain is useful for other stuff too. And this place has got lots of reptiles, which are good for other endeavors. Same thing with beasts, I suppose. Ample Domicile. So what I suggest you do, if you don't know how Home Tours works, there's a video in the description that explains how to use it. You can use Home Tours, travel with Ample Domicile, and you can get here. Don't need to use the boat swing or run around trying to find the way to get in here. You can just use this basically as a free way shrine that you can travel to from anywhere outside of like PvP zones. So yeah, just use that, get over here, and you're good to go. So this spot here has a bunch of stolen clothing items. And then if you come over here, it's the same thing over at this spot here. And the only problem you're going to have is over here, this lady here will turn around and look at her stuff. So you just have to basically just like hang around this spot here, wait for her to turn around, and then take a bunch of items here and upgrade those. Or I usually find it's better to go over here, because as long as this NPC is nowhere near, all this stuff here you can actually take anyway, and yeah, it's the same thing. This guy never turns around. It's only that lady with the pink dress that you have to worry about. As long as she's over there, it's fine. So yeah, you can see a bunch of light armor, medium armor there. So once you get all your stuff, now you can just head over to the upgrade station. So over here, the clothing station is over here, and the one of the I think it's over here. Yeah, blacksmith stations are over here, and the woodworking station is just up here. It's just right here. Now, obviously, it just depends on the location, but if you're using the clothing stuff here, this is where you go. Yeah, I've got some blacksmithing items, so I'm just going to use those. Improvement, just go down to these void steel weapons we got. So yeah, you can see 5 is required there. So it's 6 items, so you need 30 honing stone. Just upgrade that, go to the next one, upgrade it. Next one, upgrade. So there we go, that's 6 items improved. Now, I will also just show you Imperial City. This option's really good if you're above level 10. I assume most people are, so yeah. This is the place I would go for anything upgrading or like deconstructing wise, because you get shit tons of stuff here to deconstruct or upgrade. And no bounty involved in like taking it. And there's lots of clothing items, lots of blacksmithing items, lots of woodworking items. So yeah, blacksmithing items, you've got axes all over the place on that rack there. You've got some daggers, some battle axes, some bows for woodworking. If you come in here, there's some more stuff. You got like a heavy armor set here. Got like a shield over there. And in here you got shit tons of stuff. So you got like on these desks here, you got like weapons and clothing and stuff. And then there's like heavy armor over here as well. So you got shit tons of stuff to upgrade in this place. The areas will look a little bit different depending on your alliance, but they all have shit tons of stuff that you can grab for all the crafts. Again, except for jewelry. That's the only one I wouldn't bother with. Alright, that's everything to do with upgrading. Honestly, just my advice here is find a small amount of green quality materials on a guild store, or use your hirelings there if you can use them. Do that method I showed in the video in the description of just getting some gold quickly, and just buy that stuff, get your items, and then upgrade them. Yeah, I'm just going to go through trials very briefly now. Okay, as in regards to trials, firstly, you should just take a look at this. This is all the trials in the game. Oh, sorry, it's a bit too close. So the ones in blue are the base game ones. These are the ones everybody has access to. The orange ones are DLCs. So the abbreviations, these tend to be used when you're searching for them in Group Finder. So if you go to trial here, oh yeah, so there we go. So LC, Lucent Citadel. So there's just an example. As far as practicality goes, I think Cloud Rest is the quickest one to do, and it's pretty easy. Not as easy as some of these top ones are, but it's pretty straightforward. The only thing that's going to be really difficult on normal is just the portal, if your group is too slow. But most groups can just kill the boss so fast these days, you don't really need to do that. And the main thing to worry about in Cloud Rest with the portals is just to make sure you have a heal, because the boss does laser beams constantly, and if you don't have a good heal for that, it just obliterates you. So just make sure you have a heal. Like, resolving vigor is enough to stop that thing from killing you. I would say Ethereum Archive is also pretty straightforward. Sunspire is pretty chill. Any of these here, these tend to be longer and more advanced than any of these ones up here. Though Halls of Fabrication can be quite long and a little bit advanced. Especially the final boss can be a pain. So yeah, Ethereum Archive, Hellra, and Cloud Rest, or Sunspire as well is pretty chill. Those are the ones people usually do to just do trial endeavors for. Okay, so roles. First, I'll cover damage healers. If you haven't done trials before, this is the only role I really suggest you do, because it's the only one where you don't really need to worry about anything except for your ability to kill shit. Obviously, it's good to know like mechanics and stuff, but in most cases you'll be fine, especially like the older stuff. If you just forget everything except just dealing damage. So if you're not familiar with how damage dealing in this game works, basically in PvE you put a bunch of damage over time effects together, and while they're going off, you have like a skill that deals just direct damage, and that's called your spammable. And then you've got some other stuff. So, for example, Sorcerer's here. I've also got a pet. I've got this to heal me, and I've got this as an execute. This is like a delayed direct damage thing. But it's in essence, you put a shit ton of stuff that deals damage over a longer period of time, and then just have one thing that deals damage, and you just keep using it over and over to deal damage. When everything else is like active. As soon as they go off cooldown, you go back and you reapply them. And bonus points if you can find stuff that you reapply at the same time. So these two here are 10 seconds each. This one here is 20 seconds, so that one's also pretty easy to control. Anything that's like a bit wonky on its timing, you try and put that on the front. Also, have a weapon type that, when you heavy attack, gives you the resources back of your main damage skill, of damage attribute, because you only want to maximize one, because the way damage works in this game all your damage scales off your higher of your magicka or stamina. So you just want to go everything into one. Don't go like 20,000 each, because your damage is going to be quite low in that case. So in this case, I've just gone full magicka. And in that case, I want a weapon that, if I heavy attack, gives you magicka back. If you're using a stamina build, obviously you want to have like a two-handed sword or a dual wield or something to get your stamina back as well. Because yeah, especially these days, you run out of magicka so fast, unless you have like food to give you tons of magicka regen or whatever. So yeah, here's just a simple example of like a damage rotation, as they call it. So you just do like conduit here, I do wall, I do my pet, and then I go the curse, put my lightning form on until the damage over time effects on the back bar run out, and then I reapply them, and then the bound ornaments is up, so I send that out, and I just repeat that process over time. And then ultimate, when it's up, heavy attack to get my resources back. Obviously it won't be this bad resources wise for you. It's just, one, I'm a stage 3 vampire, so my my resources cost is fucking way higher, and I also don't have any food on. So, and this character is like really bad for regen. So yeah, usually you'll be better, but yeah. Big important thing, make sure you have a heal. As a damage dealer, if you don't know what you're doing, have a fucking heal. Because there's going to be a point where you're going to be separated from your team, there's like a big enemy attacking you, and you just want to block and heal yourself if you don't know what's going on. And just try and stay in line of sight of your healers, because yeah, they're sometimes they just get, there's too much going on. And it's fine to die, like it's no big deal. Just don't cause the rest of your team to die, that's the main thing. Alright, as far as tanks go, the general 3 main rules is 1, have a taunt. If you don't have a taunt, you're not a tank. You're just a damage dealer who can absorb a lot more damage. You are not a tank without a taunt. That is non-negotiable. So you need this. You need heals, and you need to understand basic positioning. That's basically it. You also need a block. Especially in trials, blocking is very important. Especially the later trials, like Dreadstyle Reef. If you don't block, that shit is very difficult. So basically, with your team, like imagine they're right behind you. The first thing you want to do with a big bad guy is turn them around. If your team's over there, that's why. So some like bosses will do like tonal AoE attacks, and they'll do it in front of them. And some have cleaves that literally one-shot your team. So you don't want to be like standing where your team is and having the cleave just fucking kill everybody. So immediately turn the boss around and spend most of your time blocking, and any other time either heavy attacking or doing a skill that doesn't allow you to block. Basically that's your job. Bonus points if you've got an ice staff, because if you use an ice staff with frost clench, it applies minor brittle. If you can get that buff, it's like you're doing a lot for your team already. And what you can do is use a set called Serpent's Disdain. If you don't know what sets to run as a tank, just run like a tanky set and then run Serpent's Disdain alongside it. And just use Frost Clench, and you'll have minor brittle up for like 20 seconds at a time, which is fucking great. So yeah. As for a tanking set, the best option, I think, or the most relaxed option is Cyrodiil's Crest, but this is very expensive. So if you can't get your hands on this, my advice is either go something like Grace of Gloom, this one here. Oh, can you fuck off? Okay, you did. You heard me. So yeah, Grace of Gloom is really good, because it basically does the same thing, just not as often. If not, I'd probably go just Armor of the Seducer. Seducer's pretty good too. You can also go... I don't mind Twilight's Embrace. Just increasing healing received. It's just a simple, easy, like, good use ability. And the weapon and spell damage isn't... And crit chance really isn't that much of a problem, because weapon and spell damage impacts your healing as well. And crit chance, you're going to be crit healing just a little bit more, so that's fine. And max magicka, probably, like, I'd say 70 or 80% of skills that you use as a tank to buff your team are like magicka based. So yeah, that's no problems I think with that one either. So those are the ones I would suggest using if you don't know what you're doing basically with tanking. There's some other ones, you know, but they're just a few, and they're like the easy ones to get your hands on. You've got Dragon Guard, which you can get from East March. It's pretty easy to get. Just reduce your cost of your ultimate. Some like ultimate that you might want to use. Warhorn, if you can get it, is probably one of your best. Something that helps you tank, like Magma Shell, might be good if you get scared and you want to use just like an oh shit button. You can use that. Some good options for other classes, Necromancers in the oh god, what's the whatever the Flesh Atronach skill line is. The Flesh Colossus. That skill is great as like a support build. Good for healers too, though. And there's also Barrier, but yeah, these two here, you obviously have to be level 4 for this and level 6 for Barrier. But yeah, these are pretty good too. They're the only real things you need to worry about as a tank. If you're not sure about how to tank, basically just build a Dragon Knight. They're easy to use as tanks. Necromancers are good too. Wardens are pretty good as well. But yeah, mostly Necromancers and Dragon Knights are the main tanking fix. And Dragon Knights have been for fucking forever. Alright, as far as healers go, basically just have a couple of AoE heals if you can. The only two I think you must have as a healer is probably like Healing Springs and Combat Prayer. Bonus points if you can get Energy Orb, because this is great. It basically just I did. So this and Luminous Shards, which is, as a Templar, I think is fucking excellent. I still think Templars are one of the best healers. So what these do is they give you resources back, or give your team resources back through a synergy. And yeah, Templars have their own one, and then you've also got Energy Orb from the Undaunted skill line. So leveling up Undaunted to get Energy Orb is like a healer must as well for late game stuff. But as a healer, you only really need Grand Healing, and you only need Blessing, Protection, Morph to Combat Prayer, because this gives your team Minor Berserk and Minor Resolve, increasing their damage done and reducing the damage taken. So it's just helpful. And all you want to be worrying about as a healer is, say the boss is over here, that's the boss there. You basically want to be right behind your team and just healing them like that, and putting Combat Prayer on them every now and then. So every 10 seconds, chuck a Combat Prayer on them, and Grand Healing every 10 seconds too. And then obviously if you've got it, use Energy Orb, and also you want to put Luminous Shards down where the tank would be, so somewhere over there. Because the Orb would work for all your damage dealers, and then Shard would work just fine for your tank. But at the same time, you could try and go a little closer to make sure that Orb gets to your tank. Usually the tank will be a bit closer anyway. Now, the other stuff is basically just supportive or like oh shit stuff. So this one here is just to give me some healing. If you're playing another class, obviously you'll get something else there. But yeah, Healing Ward as well is great. If you see a health bar go really low, just press this button basically, and as long as they're in your line of sight, they will be they'll be protected. And what this does is the Healing Ward version. It heals them as well as putting the shield on them. So the shield, it increases based on the damage they've taken. So that if you put it on like a low health person, and it will prioritize low health people, it gives them a fucking huge shield. Obviously, it won't help with like hull damage or like Oblivion damage, but in most cases, it will save people's lives. So yeah, these are like the three main ones that you absolutely need, I think. And then the other stuff's bonus. Aggressive Horn, if you can get it. I run Nova or Radial Sweep as a Templar, but yeah, class-wise, there's a couple of other options. If you can get Barrier as a healer, that's also a great option, and probably the other one I would recommend. But yeah, it needs 6 in support, that's a bit of a pain. And yeah, my back bar is like mostly damage dealing, but also support. As a healer, you can do some extra damage on the side, though I wouldn't use lightning here, I'd use ice as well. And what I'd suggest, if you don't know like if you don't have any sets yet for healing, here's what I use. So Spell Power Cure, this is like the set that you want as a healer. This is like the only must-have. There's a lot of sets that healers use, but this is the only one. This is a base heal option, and it's just so good. Even if both healers are running it, doesn't matter. As long as one healer's got this in like a normal trial, you're basically good. The other set is just, if you don't have Spell Power Cure, what I would probably do is just run Seducer until you do. So I'm going to the Seducer here. And then the other set that I would run if you don't have anything else is just like with tanks, Step and Sustain. So what you can do, you don't have to run an ice stuff. I would though, because it's the same thing as the tank. If you can apply Chilled as a status effect, it will just apply Minor Brittle for like 20 seconds. Minor Brittle is just a good buff to have. It's easy to get, really strong, and good for your team. So, yeah, Step and Sustain there is good. I would also maybe look at... This is a set you can get from Overland, so you can buy it on Guild Stores if you don't have the DLC. So, this basically just... whenever you put Healing Springs on the ground, it also applies this proc here. It's just like a ice heal. And yeah, wherever Healing Springs is, that'll just heal people even more. You don't need it, but if you don't have many other options early on, it's just a good placeholder. But yeah, personally, I would just go Spellfire Cure or use Seducer if you can't get Spellfire Cure, or just use like Auror's Wrath or something, and then Step and Sustain. Eventually, if you can get things like monster healing stats like Earth Gore, things like Master's Resto, if you can, Boulder of Ruin is great as a mythic. Yeah, this one here. This is usually the mythic that the healers run. Yeah, and just make sure you're behind your team so you can just see where everybody is. Now, every now and then you'll get a idiot damage dealer that runs off and just stays on their own, away from the team. They get killed and they complain. Fucking don't worry about that shit. It's not your fault if that shit happens. Obviously, if you can, try and use a healing spring on them, but, like, look. You can heal wounds. You cannot heal stupidity, I'm afraid. And that is going to happen to you at some point in trials, but just ignore that shit. Alright, look. That's bloody long enough. It's already been, like, 50 minutes. If you want any information regarding like any trial stuff and you're just not sure, just put a comment in and yeah, I'll give you a hand if I can answer you. Yeah, you get into like Ethereum Archive, you really, as a damage dealer especially, like you don't really need to think about anything because yeah, fights are usually done before you can even like figure out what the fuck is going on anyway in this day and age. Dreadsail Reef though, bit of a different story. Things like Osine Cage, yeah, little bit more thought required, but in most cases the other more experienced players usually have you covered. Yeah, maybe like the higher tier stuff, I'd maybe look at some guides first. There's a lot of information out there on that stuff. I've made my own guide for Dreadsail, but yeah, the other stuff I haven't really had the time for. There's a lot of information on the new trials, is there? It's interesting. Anyway, so yeah, that'll be it for now. Any questions, give me a holler as always, you know how it is. But thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for your support as always. Take care for now. I'll see you next time.